I think you'll like it. This guy's got a great voice. Oops, wrong one. Sorry. This guy's got a great voice. Did I put the right one in? Hang on. There we go. There we go. Here it comes. You like this guy and the message that he sings. Got the great instrument.
If your life was an open book, what would it say? You took a closer look, started to turn the pages, got to know yourself a little better.
Well, I've got the wrong song on now. I'm just going to turn it down and off.
Would the chapters make you smile? Would the story be the one you chose?
Yes, it would be that. He's talking about if the life that you look at right now, was this the life that you chose? Is it the life you chose, or is it the life that you're just letting happen? Some people say, I let God, I let go and let God. But Julie's going to talk this morning a little bit about some other things that will really open my eyes up to what this is all about. This wonder, this thing about wonder that we're going to be doing, to embracing it right now. So let me just say good morning.
Good morning.
You know, every morning when we meet like this, we like to see that that there's more people than we can handle here. We have to turn you away at the door. If that happens, we apologize. We'll make room for you on the next Sunday, we promise. Have you seating in the library or wherever you want. We'll make it work. And it's warm right in here, isn't it? Do you feel okay? Mm-hmm. Put your coats on and now you're sweating, right? Okay. Well, this is a great morning. So we had a meditation this morning by Reverend Don Kerr and Reverend Julie Applegate. She's the happy girl from Happy Valley. She brings her happiness here on certain mornings to give us a happy message. So we're glad to have her here. We're also going to, we're actually going to do something different this morning. We've done it before, but we're going to have the congregational singers come forward, the joyful singers we call them, and we're going to sing a song. We're going to sing a song together, and we would like everybody to just stand and join in. So I think it's Donna and Ruth and Carmen and Kathy and everybody. Come right forward here, and we'll just get started doing that. The congregational song is in the program. You'll see it there. It's called I'm Reaching Out, I'm Reaching Out. Daniel Nabon, yeah. So we'll do this a cappella. The leader of the pack, Carmen, are you going to lead us? Is that it? I had a CD? I don't. So we get started.
To feel the infinite, I'm reaching out, know the divine. I'm reaching out to feel the infinite. Yes, forever is already mine. I'm already there, I'm already known. I'm already saved with my eternal home. I'm already there, I'm already home. I'm already
Thank you and hallelujah. Oh, goodness gracious. Something we haven't done. Did we? I'm going to ask Reverend Moore. He's up there in charge, along with Olivia, who's telling him what to do. Did we ever sing our birthday song for the month, Reverend Moore? Can you remember?
I don't think we did.
That would be so good to do, wouldn't it? Yeah. Who's got a birthday here in January? I know. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, look at that. Hallelujah. Okay. We're going to sing happy birthday, right? God bless. You want to have it? Why not do it that way? Let's do it right. Okay. Let's just.
All three of us? No, can you imagine? Quiet too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the birthday singer's up. Yeah. All right. 1, 2, 3, go. Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, God bless you. Happy birthday to you. And give yourself a hand. Many more. My God, we're good. Oh, we're just bubbling over with goodness this morning. Okay, before we get too far along here, we should really pray ourselves in. We should have some real sincere understanding that we're going to be praying not only to ourselves, but the whole wide world, because our voice is heard in the universe. And we're going to ask Kathy Prather to give us our, sorry about the pupping here. Yeah. Kathy, would you step forward and don't talk right directly into this? Yeah, okay. Talk to the side.
Join with me, please, in our invocation. Going within to that special place within, which is that God place, that place of peace, that place of perfection, that place which has always been, which will always be. And we know that today is a day of gracious glory. Today is a day of coming together. Today is a day at Woodland Chapel, which is blessed, and this entire sanctuary is filled with the God Spirit, with our joy, with our consciousness. And we are raised up in it, and we are it, and we belong here, and we are one with it. And in this consciousness, we accept our healing, we accept our alignment with Spirit, and we accept all good things in our lives as we move forward in this month and in this year. And I know that this is all true, and I know that this is the way it is. And I say, Amen. And would you join me in the affirmation, please? Right here and right now, I experience wonder and beauty. I abide in spirit always. My life is wonder-filled and wonderful, and so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. There's some announcements that we would like to cover before we get into the message of the morning. On the back of the program, if I can read without my glasses, maybe somebody would like to do that for me. Is Reverend Moore in the house? Would you read these announcements for us? I forgot to bring my glasses with me. There's something there about thank you for wearing a mask today.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we really, really appreciate everyone who is very considerate, very thoughtful to respect their own health and also the health of our fellow congregants. You are all truly beautiful. And as we said just a moment ago, wonderful, right? Right. Okay. Next week, we have a distinguished speaker. I just can't, no, not extinguished, distinguished. Oh, folks, just full of humor. That's good. Reverend Don Kerr will be speaking next week, and he's going to say, question everything. Ooh, really? Okay. All right. Today, we have the Create Your Vision Board experience, and hopefully you brought your materials, brought a little lunch, and you're ready to go. We're going to set up in the sanctuary for obvious reasons, because it's like an ice box in the rest of the church. Okay. On the Wednesday evening, on the 19th, we will be, Donna Stevens will be leading a meeting about how to do this thing, whether we're going to meet in little groups, big groups here in the chapel, somewhere else, or whatever. Right, Donna? Anything you'd like to add to that?
We'll have study guides available.
Okay.
To go along with the book.
So study guides will be there to pick up, and you can come in and put in what you'd like to do going forward with that. Okay, and then on the 25th of January, which is a Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock, brand new class, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. Right now, I think we're at about 12 or 14 people, and so it should be a wonderful class, full of energy, full of life. You're welcome to come. There are sign-up sheets in the library for all of that. I might like to just make a little other announcement. We're trying out a new connection to Facebook to broadcast live, so hopefully this will go without all the stuttering and problems we've had before. And if it doesn't, we'll make some more changes. Okay? Any other announcements that need to be made at this time? Thank you, one and all, for being here. You are truly wonderful.
Fully agree.
Shannon has to read.
This is our special time now that we like always to have someone who would honor us by picking out something from that Science of Mind magazine. You know, if you don't get that magazine, I keep saying this, do it. It's a great magazine. Her name is Shannon. She's going to read for us. But what's she doing? I'm getting out of the way.
Oh, you will know what I'm doing in a moment. And you'll also know why, when you go home today, you will love to do housework and clean the kitchen and do the laundry. I am reading from the Science of Mind for January 3rd. It, as you know, begins with some really inspiring quotes and has a message and then ends with an affirmation. So this first quote is from Barbara Taylor Brown, who is an Episcopal priest. She says, "If all life is holy, then anything that sustains life has holy dimensions too. The difference between washing windows and resting in God's and resting in God can be a simple decision. Choose the work and it becomes your spiritual practice." Now this is from Ernest Holmes from This Thing Called You. "Seek to make your work a prayer, your believing an act, your living an art. It is then that the object of your faith will be made visible to you. It is then that you shall kiss the lips of your desire." Thank you. I always like to dress up when I clean. Now here's the daily message. I love raking leaves on a sunny day, exercising my muscles, breathing fresh air. I feel one with nature. I am acknowledging the season of letting go, feeling appreciation for trees' majesty. Of course, there is a sacred practice only if I have time to rake and all parts of my body are in good working order. Otherwise, it can be seen as a chore, too much effort, a grind. But what about other activities that are considered labor? Washing dishes, cleaning house, taking out the trash? Do you avoid them? Do you wish someone else would step in? Do you think, I want somebody else to do this for me, I shouldn't have to do this? I do that, but just I mutter to myself. Emma Curtis Hopkins said, "Sometimes people have thought that they ought to sit right down in the midst of dishes needing washing and account books needing straightening, and refuse to do these tasks because to be doing them is a sign in belief in labor. It is not yours to demonstrate the cessation of work. It is yours to settle your faith. What if we did the tasks out of love instead out of necessity? Out of joy instead of drudgery? What if we saw labor as service, a way to be of assistance, to help, to support? What if we looked at our tasks as service to a greater whole? We might just be one step closer to a world that works for everyone. Now this ends with an affirmation. I joyfully help wherever I can, being of service to others. Namaste.
And so it is. Thank you, Shannon. Now, you may have heard that she has a good story. You may have heard that she has even a song. But she won't be singing the song today, but she will be telling you the story today. Let's give a warm hand to Julie Applegate, our minister of the morning. Thank you, Julie.
That's frightening to be thinking I might have to sing. Oh, so thank you, Shannon. That was so perfect for today. It's talking about embracing the now. And I'm just going to put my bulletin right here. And thank you guys for stepping forward. We've had some changes this month, and it ended up being quite fun community time. So it's just wonder comes out of everything. And so last night I picked up the book Power of Now. Oh wait, that's a Eckhart Tolle, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. I happened to notice I had 2 copies. I do that a lot. But anyway, so I was reading page 1 of chapter 2, and it said, I thought this was so interesting. You easily lose yourself in words, become hypnotized into implicitly believing that when you have attached a word to something, you know what it is. The fact is, you don't know what it is. You have only covered up the mystery with a label. Everything, a bird, a tree, even a simple stone, and certainly a human being is ultimately unknowable. This is because it has unfathomable depths. All we can perceive, experience, think about is the surface level of reality, less than the tip of an iceberg. And then over here it says, of course we use words and thoughts. They have their own beauty. But do we need to become imprisoned by them? And as I read that, I was thinking, last week, when I was sitting and Paul and I were watching these birds outside of our sliding glass door. And the cats, of course, were lined up watching the birds outside the door. And I had thrown some birdseed out, mainly to entertain the cats. No, I don't let them out. You know, it's not going to be a bloody story. So I'm watching these birds, and we're thinking, I don't know what that bird is. I don't know what that bird is. And so I was really curious about this bird, and I have lost my bird book. And I'm not a birder, so I don't know birds very well. I know robins and woodpeckers and a few things like that. So I thought, who do I know that would know the bird? Don, because he and Phyllis go look at birds all the time. So I called Don, and I said, what kind of bird is outside my window? I mean, I have a lot of faith in the man, so he can tell what kind of bird. And he said, well, what is it? And I said, well, I don't know. That's why I'm calling you. But so I began to describe it. There was a little bird, and I said, it's a tiny little bird, and it has a black little square on the front. And I said, then there's another one the size of a robin. It looks like a robin, but it's not a robin, and it has a black stripe. And, of course, with all that information, you can imagine he popped right in with an answer. But the thing that struck me about that when I was thinking about that last night was I was really enjoying watching those birds. And it was just fun, and there were a whole bunch of little ones, and ones I didn't know, and the tiny ones, and the medium-sized ones. But then I needed to have a name for it. And like it needed a name for me to experience it. And so I was thinking about that last night, and how often we have to assign it. And granted, words are good because we can't communicate with each other without them, but they can also stand in the way of the essence. You know, did I need a name for that experience? Did I need to be compelled to identify it with a name? Or could I really get into the experience of that little being there popping around? And so it was really interesting that I came up on that and thought about that, and how often we have to label things and organize them and take, almost step a distance away from the experience. So anyway, our topic today is embracing the now, and it's like embracing what is right now. And our theme for this month is living everyday wonder. And when I said that, living everyday wonder, doesn't that just give you a visceral experience if you think about everyday wonder? Not just joy, but an energy field in that experience of the wonder of the moment, of the day, of the birds, of whatever it is, and that energy field then comes back to us. So I just want you to take a moment here, and I want to pause, and I'm just going to ask you probably to close your eyes so you aren't distracted by everything. And take a moment to remember. Can you remember an experience where you were fully engaged? Everything just dropped away. Everything just dropped away. Can you bring to mind? There's a peace in that, isn't there? Where everything has just dropped away. And in that moment, you know, we talk about peace, but peace is in that moment when everything else has dropped away. It exists, but we clutter it. So this morning, I don't know how many of you were up to see the sunrise. Did anyone get up early enough for the sunrise? Oh my gosh, you absolutely blow your socks off. And as I was looking at that, I realized I wasn't thinking about anything else. Just the wonder of that. And that we have moments like that when we're simply in the beingness of everything. So our topic today, embracing the now, and how does that facilitate experiencing the wonder? Because, you know, we're a different kind of church in a way. We're not here for the greater later. I mean, the greater later will come, but it'll be in the now for us, won't it? That everything exists in the now. And so we're not here on planet Earth to maybe suffer and be saved or something. I don't know, maybe we are or we're not, but I'm just telling you what I think and what we teach. But we're here to learn how to experience this life in a way that it is filled with wonder. And Reverend Don sang about love this morning, that we grow in that. And, you know, it's a process. It's a process that we're here for. But we're a Center for Spiritual Living, and that idea of spiritual living is to awaken us to who we are, so that, because who we are is the divine in form. And when we experience that, life works in a way that without it we can't imagine. And so we're here in this church, in this teaching, how to awaken to who we are, and knowing that that allows us to live a life of joy, love, abundance, freedom. Not without problems, but how to live with them. And it's a process. And you guys know that we sometimes are better some days and not so good other days. Yeah. So Eckhart Tolle said this in The Power of Now. Too often we take life for granted and move through it on autopilot, or we sleepwalk our way through it and it just passes by. Have you ever said to yourself, what did I do yesterday? I don't actually remember. Yeah, just, we're just like on this autopilot. And when we aren't present in our lives, and this seems so obvious, but it's not so obvious. It's like we are missing out on our life. And it's not uncommon for folks to have lived a whole life without ever having lived. That phrase that you hear sometimes, you spent a whole life without ever having lived. It's a seriously stressful phrase for me. And so, I can do this because I'm kind of future-oriented, so I have to focus on the now, and thank God for the spiritual practices that have told me that now is the moment, not the future. There's no future. It doesn't come. It is now. And if you've been in the classes, you know that prayer treatment, when we pray for something, it is now. It is done now. And unless we change our mind about that and confuse, but we put it into the law of the mind, it is done now. It may show up. It may show up a little bit later when we're ready for it. Perhaps we need some education. Perhaps we need to grow. Perhaps there is something that needs to happen, someone come into our life for this prayer to be manifest. But it happens in the now. It's not a future. If we think about wanting something in the future, what we're saying is we don't have it now. I say that a lot, but it's something I had to learn to remember. I want it then. No, I have it now, and it will express in the appropriate and proper time. I get that. I get that so much. And so the last few days, I have to say, I have these lists because I have a lot of different projects and things going on in my life. So I keep lists, and I keep a lot of lists so I can download it on paper and it isn't swimming around in my head. Do any of you ever do that? Big list makers, yeah. So, and so Friday, I was so pleased, Friday and Saturday. I crossed a lot of things off those lists. It's still a long list, but I crossed a lot off. So I was feeling really pleased about that. And I thought, but did I really experience anything that whole day as I was crossing things off the list? And I realized that, wow, I'm just moving through this list. I'm not living. And honestly, at the end of the day, I was exhausted. And I thought, well, what if I did have one really brilliant, beautiful moment? I had to call On Point and figure out how come I couldn't get them on quick. And this woman was so lovely that in that moment, and how she spoke to me in such a personal way, in that moment I actually had a moment of joy with her. And I've thought about that moment for a couple days. So out of that whole day, there was just one moment where I experienced life. And what if, as Shannon was talking about in her reading, it's not what we do, it's how we choose to experience what we do. And that we choose to be alive to it and with it, so that when we come to the end of our life, we're not saying, I've lived my whole life and I haven't lived. So for me, where I really noticed that I can be present are with my horses. And there's something about horses that bring you into the moment. And when I'm with them, I feel them all over and make sure, and I check them to make sure everything's okay, and I brush them, and I watch them, and I realize I have such relaxation and such joy in that moment. And it's really interesting that with them, I am fully present. And it's a different experience than when I am just rushing through life. So this idea of being in the now is so important for us. And there's two intruders into the peace of the moment, and one is the past and one is the future. So we can get caught in both of those, like currents in a river that just pulls us along. And how do we free ourselves from that? And I'm not saying that the past can't be wonderful. It can also be difficult. It can be wonderful. The future can be a vision. But where do we live? And spiritual practice tells us to become an observer in our life. An observer in our life. So just bear with me on this. This way, as an observer, we can become to a greater experience of our life. So this woman shared this story. Her name's Claire, but it doesn't really matter. She's not from this community. And she said, I was cooking dinner and looking around my messy house, and the thought came to my mind, I'm tired and overwhelmed. Once I bought into that story, I noticed my energy sink. Then my perception shifted, and I realized that the tired and overwhelmed parts of me are here. That small shift didn't cause the same energy sink. Instead, it created more spaciousness, just being aware of that. I then said, the tired and overwhelmed ones are visiting. What if they aren't who we are? I'm going to say some more about that. But what if the experience isn't who we are? They're visiting. I love that. You know, it's not that they're not real, but they're just visiting. I then said, what a shift that made. It acknowledged that it's all temporary, that this too shall pass. It opened me to even more spaciousness. I then thought some insights. The stories in our minds are just like the weather. It comes and goes. Some days it's sunny, some days it's rainy, some days it's snowy. I can't control the weather. It's not permanent. It's always shifting and impossible control. The only choice, she said, is to experience it as it is, to see it. You know, these things come and visit us, don't they? They come and visit us. And Eckhart Tolle said we have to continually ask what's going on inside ourselves. What are we thinking and feeling? He says, don't analyze, because that's just what we like to do. Just watch. Just watch. It's a practice that a teacher of mine many, many years ago taught me, and it was fascinating. I had never heard of that because, of course, all these things were happening. They were real, and that was the way it was. And he taught me about just watching myself, being an observer. Have you ever done that? How many of you have done that? We've learned that practice, yeah. What is that like? It's really interesting, isn't it? To stand there and watch ourselves. If there's an emotion, not an emotion present, take your attention more deeply into the energy field of your body. Maybe, and we don't have to have something going on to do this. Just stop periodically and just watch ourselves, our beautiful, amazing selves, and just feel and see what's going on within us. It doesn't have to be a problem or emotion. And so, but emotions can be positive, negative, ones we want to get rid of, ones we want to encourage. It's all the same. It's all the same. But it's the unpleasant ones where we generally get stuck, isn't it? We can just go over and over and over. So get this. Just get this point. An emotion usually represents an amplified energized thought pattern. Does that make sense? We have a thought, causes us to feel an emotion, whatever that is, and an energy field builds out of that. It can be a small energy field or a huge energy field. I saw someone cut someone off in the road, and I watched that person just roll. Because he had a thought, like, I don't know, what do we do in our car? Everybody's out to get us, right? What happens when we get in our car? We suddenly become a different person. And those other people that we would like, if we saw them on the sidewalk and we might say hi or in our street, they're in a car and they're going to get us. Just cutting us off. Wow. That was a bad word at us. Okay. I mean, isn't that interesting how we do that? And it creates this energy field, and then we react, and it was a thought. It was just a thought. It may not even been true. Probably wasn't true. I go with my son in the car, and he's constantly telling me, Mom, speed up. You got to go so slow. You stop going so slow around the parking lot. And I'm saying, shut up. You're just like that movie of Mother. You stop telling me how to drive. You know, we're doing this whole thing. It's just all of our thoughts about how the other one's driving. Seriously, you don't want to be in the car with us. I don't listen to him. He doesn't listen to me. And so this thought, and then we feel this emotion, and there's this energy pattern out of it. We do this all the time, you guys. And it is so automatic for us. And it takes us over. It really takes us over. And so to be this observer and just to watch, and is that real? So stay with me just a moment. If you and I are pulled into unconscious identification with the emotion through lack of presence, which is normal, no beating ourselves up over it, you know, we learn this, the emotion temporarily becomes us. It takes us over. The I am. I think it was God who asked the burning bush, who are you? I am that I am. I am. When we speak the word I am, do you know how totally powerful that is? As a phrase, we are identifying ourselves. I am. I am. Wow. We're telling ourselves something, aren't we? I am. Or when we speak to our children or somebody else, you are. What are we telling him? That's who you are. No, that is not. That is not. Like we might say, I'm angry. I am mistreated. I am happy. Well, yeah, we're having that experience, but that is not who we are. And see, we're just not observant, and we're not present, and we're not aware. And so this becomes our deep down belief, and it goes into mind that this is what I believe, and I am angry, and we get more back, and I am this, and yeah. See that great I am, how often we say that. The thought, the emotion, the energy, the owning of it. So it becomes a vicious circle, doesn't it? Thinking, emotion, they feed on each other. The thought patterns then become magnified and reflected back to us. That's how it works. There's a law of mind, an intelligence that reflects. It just works that way. You know, if you don't believe it, try it out, pay attention, you know, test it out. It does. What we think comes back to us in a vibrational frequency, So, dwelling on the situation, event, or person that is perceived to be the cause of this, because there's going to be a cause, is that guy, you know, or it's because we're stupid. You know, have you ever just, thought that? Sorry, chuckling. Is perceived cause of the emotion. The thought feeds energy to the emotion, and so it goes. It creates a thought pattern. It becomes a belief. And even pleasant emotions, we want to get a little more attached to the pleasant emotions. But they're only visitors too. So if we get attached to the pleasant emotions, then we go away, we're just going to feel like, oh my God, what happened? But just to observe, it calms. We are that which is. We are that which is wordless. If we could communicate without identifying, it would be so real, much more real. I am that which is. That which is. Just sit with that phrase just a minute. That which is. That which is. Now, when you're with people at work or something, you use the regular language, but then in your head you have a secret. I am that which is. And we can repeat that to ourselves. It has no identification. I am that which is. So, how these things get stuck in our psyche. My friend Sharon, many years ago, we used to do all sorts of things like this, but for my birthday present, she took me to a psychic. And this woman, she was an older woman in this weird little house, and it's not like classy or anything. And she, swear to God, she had a crystal ball. And she's looking in that crystal ball and focusing, and she began to tell me these things she saw in my energy field. She saw maybe a letter, like an S or a G or something like that. She didn't know what it meant, but she could see it. Or she could see a word, or she could see a picture in my energy field. And then she began to say, this is what's going on with you, and if you don't change that, things are not going to work for you, essentially. And she was much more blunt than that. And I was just like, because I hadn't told her anything about myself. I really didn't want to, because I didn't want to give her clues. I was just blown away. I was just blown away. She, with her ability, and some people have an ability to do that. Maybe we all do. It's just not practiced. She could pick up things in my energy field, in my aura, in my whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it was. But it was stamped in that. And so that's what's in my consciousness. That's what's in my energy field. Guys, that's what I'm experiencing. And she was dead on, which was the freaky part. Especially about the part I needed to change or else. She did. That was it. That was it. And God, she was right. So we think that these are just words and maybe a theory and maybe, but that was like, okay, I get it. This is all about how many people can read that. How many people can see what's going on in my psyche? Oh my God. But when we become the observer, being present to watch this, just watch this without judgment, without judgment. Like she said, they're visitors. They're just coming to visit. We're not asked to stuff the past. They're energetic patterns that maybe need to be healed, maybe just need to be enjoyed and embraced and grateful for. And many people fear the future. There's a visioning going on. So we create the future that we want, and unless we change that, it's set in mind, and it will come to us as long as we're in cooperation with us. It will come at its appropriate time. Oh, that's another talk, you guys. I had that whole thing, and I knew we couldn't go on all day. But I'm excited about that idea. But the power is in the present moment. Ernest Holmes said this, here and now we are surrounded by and immersed in an infinite good. How much of the infinite good is ours? How much can we accept? How much can we accept? How much can we reject by saying, I'm stupid and I don't deserve? Yeah. Jesus said, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. In other words, our good is awaiting us now. Your Father knows what you need before you ask. Do we need to worry? What Jesus was telling us was that our good is always being poured down upon us. What we need is available right now. And I'm going to ask 4 questions for your homework. I like to give homework. I'm a thwarted teacher. I also put these out on the table with the sign-up sheets if you want to pick one up and take it home. And I encourage you to do that, because why just come here and listen? Why not, have some homework? Get your money's worth, have some homework. So just close your eyes for a minute while I ask you these questions. In what areas of your life do you find yourself sleepwalking? In what areas of your life are trying to push, I'm not really a good typist, so this is what it's supposed to say. In what areas of your life are you trying to push away discomfort? What stories are you holding on to that may be limiting your experience of good? And lastly, how much good are you willing to experience? Seems like a silly question, but it's not. And as we explore these questions, these ideas, not to become in judgment, but to become an observer, just an observer. And perhaps smile at ourselves. And know that when we attach I am to anything, we are doing something profound. And we are more than any of that. We are literally that which is. And knowing this, on one level, all is well, and all is well, and so it is. All right. And I believe I shall invite Reverend Don up for the offertory.
Thank you, Julie. I was really getting something out of that. I didn't want you to quit. You've got more, don't you? Oh, goodness. So I don't have a program, but I'll help with the offertory. We'll have, I and Shannon go down and do that next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Yeah. So this is the same with the offering. Oh gosh, you guys, an awesome place to do a little bit of homework before you go home. Just become an observer of one's feeling around money, and let that be a teacher of consciousness of our abundance. No judgment. It's all okay. It's all okay. Just to be an observer this morning. Wow, I always say the offertory is one of the best places for us to begin to practice self-awareness. So,
That's good. We can
Yes.
sing too, can't we?
I am not going to lead you in any song at all, but I would invite our ladies to lead us in. I am so blessed if they're wishing to do that. Otherwise, we will repeat that together as Shannon and Don wonderful traditional plates. So let's say it together. And I am so blessed. And this is, oh my God, this is true. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Yes, let's do that. I am so blessed.
I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. And indeed we are. And so let's say our affirmation together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate, and so it is. And join with me this wonderful prayer protection. You know, it's not only many, if not most, of Centers for Spiritual Living, but this is written by someone from Unity many, many years ago. And so this is said in Unity churches too, every Sunday. The prayer protection. Let's do this together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. All right. The peace song is on you, Don.
Yes, okay, the peace song is, we're all going to do it together, right? Yes, let's bring the gals up here. Let's stand and we'll do this thing.
It's always a surprise.
Anybody got a little hummer?
This whole music month was a surprise, really. So. Let there be peace on earth.